So if you've been painting digitally and your paintings just don't look that great and the rendering is kinda bad, here are 3 powerful tips for you. First, learn about shadow edges. Edge control is super important when it comes to rendering believable paintings. If you use edges wrong, your paintings can either look too blurred, if you use no edges at all basically, or they can look like cartoons if you just use hard edges and no transitions between the colors at all. And that's fine if you want to paint cartoons or anime or something. But assuming you want to paint something more realistic or semi-realistic, you really need to know when to paint soft or hard edges. And if you know the theory behind it, it's actually pretty easy. Paint hard edges at the edges of objects, basically. Like the edge of a table or the edge of a nose, for example. And paint cast shadows with hard edges. These are the shadows that get thrown on the ground or on another object. Those usually have hard edges. On the other hand, you should paint soft edges where an object has a smooth transition or a rounded surface like a ball. These are the basics and they can take you very far. The second tip is to learn how to blend colors. Like I said, rendering a digital painting requires soft edges at times. And to paint these soft edges effectively, you need to learn how to blend colors. Now what blending actually means is to mix 2 colors together and to create a smooth transition between them. It's really one of the essential skills of digital painting. And once you've mastered it, you will probably find that you use it all the time while painting. And the first step in learning how to blend colors is to find the right blending tool. The approach I recommend to beginners is to use a hard round brush with a pen pressure set to opacity. This way you really don't rely on any tools and just stick to the basics. I will make a dedicated video for this technique soon, which you can then find on my channel. Another thing you can try instead of using the basic hard round brush is to use a blending tool like the smudge tool or the mixer brush in Photoshop. The second step in learning how to blend is to do some blending exercises. A basic blending exercise could be this. Start with painting some basic value scales. First, paint some boxes in different brightnesses with hard edges. Then gradually blend those colors with different tools and techniques, until you end up with a smooth gradient like this. And if you feel you've got the hang of it, you can actually apply this concept to basic forms like a ball. And then, once you've mastered those basic forms, you should theoretically be able to render anything. And the third and final tip I have for you to improve your rendering is to learn how to paint textures and materials. Edge control and blending can already take you quite far actually. But without textures, your art might still look sterile and fake. It will basically look like everything is just made of one material, like plastic or something. Now, the problem is this. Digital painting tools like Photoshop offer you a lot of ways to add texture to your painting. You could actually take a photo of a texture and put it over your painting in certain areas. Or you could use a textured brush that actually paints a texture in certain areas. I do, however, recommend to beginners to paint textures by hand actually, because this way you can actually learn way more about rendering and painting in general. And textures go hand in hand with materials. Each object is made of a different material. The material largely affects the amount of reflectivity of an object. Materials can range from little reflection, like a stone, to a little bit of more reflection, like plastic, to full reflection, like chrome. And I think a good exercise to practice this is to paint simple forms like a ball and just paint a specific texture on top of that. This way you are not focused on the actual form of the object, but you can specifically focus on the texture and material. Now, if you want a complete guide on rendering that explains every step of the process, check out this video of mine if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.